Good morning everyone, welcome back. Today I'm here with Rolf. Rolf's been at the Coastal Marine Field Station over the summer with 5 students and they've been doing some pretty interesting things. Rolf, what's the SMILE program? What's it all about?
The SMILE program, we call it SMILE because of Summer Marine Innovation Lab Experience, was invented sort of thing last year when we wanted a couple of projects exploring innovation in a design thinking fashion, and that kind of means that design thinking is fast exploration, sometimes fast failure, pivoting, changing, trying again, doing something quickly. But actually when you do it, you actually don't spend a huge amount of monetary resource, a huge amount of time. So you actually have faster innovation iteration cycles. We gave the students a range of options and they were all gravitating towards something sustainable and environmental. It was very clear that they wanted to make a difference.
So it seems like a really exciting opportunity for students to get involved in kind of research and science and industry. Who are the students and where have they come from?
There are 5 students this year they just completed, and they came from 2 different sort of avenues. One avenue was the sort of education in marine science, and they were local students from Tauranga, and the other one are mechanical engineers and they came from Hamilton.
So what have the students been working on this year?
The industry partners this year were the Bluelab, Zespri and Genera. They had quite a variety of projects. 4 projects were quite linked. They were mostly on using biochar for different things and improve its benefits, but also there were 2 projects on trying to get freshwater and seawater algae and see how to capture this, and potentially also how to produce and grow some of our freshwater species, because we don't know much about them.
Oh, it sounds like we should go and talk to the students and find out about their projects.
Absolutely, please do that.
My project is finding out whether I could make biochar from riser dust. My project is sponsored by Zespri. Currently, their kiwi fruit waste goes into landfill and they want to look at other applications or other uses for the kiwi fruit waste, and biochar was one of the possible applications. I found out that you can make biochar from the riser dust. So ideally, biochar should be about 80 to 90% carbon. And with the biochar that I made, it was 90% carbon. So yeah, I definitely did make some good quality biochar. So that was good. For my project, I've contacted people at the orchard and soil scientists and people from the uni, and I feel very fortunate that all the people that I've spoken to were just so willing to help me. The thing that we had the most difficulty with was finding the equipment to make the biochar with. I contacted this guy and he willingly made me the biochar equipment. So yeah, if not for him, I wouldn't have any progress at all in this project. So I'm very thankful for his help.
This summer I was working with Julian from Genera, and at first they told me I was working on an air filtration system, but it turned out to actually be a gas sensor, so a gas detector that picks up toxic gases in the air. So that's my whole project. So in the beginning, because I major in mechanical engineering, I know nothing about electronics, and air filtration would have been very mechanical, but gas sensors is almost purely electrical. So how it functions, I guess, is this little sensor, when it comes in contact with a gas, it produces an electric current, which tells you how much of that gas is there. So you need to be able to interpret that signal and turn it into something we can read, which I know completely, nothing about. In the beginning it was very, very frustrating, because I don't like not knowing how to do things. I started talking to my supervisor, he gave me advice, and then I just started opening up to other people, which gave me more advice and gave me direction. I've always known that I have to ask for help, but it's something that I don't like doing. So for this project, I had no idea what to do, so I had to ask somebody for help, which was good.
I was looking at the growth rate of Udogonium, which is a freshwater filamentous algae, pretty much just looks like a green strand of hair. That was what Priority 1 were interested in. There has been research done by Rocky Denise in Australia and Rebecca Lawton from the Bay of Plenty Regional Council, and Oedogonium was the best freshwater filamentous algae around. I find out it's really easy to kill algae, more so than I thought originally. It was always interesting to see how it would react to the things that I did, because obviously it would die off and I was like, what have I done? What's going on? So it was going back and investigating those sorts of problems, because science isn't necessarily about succeeding, but it's about failing and finding out why it failed.
Well, obviously we've got a big problem with sea lettuce in the harbour in Tauranga, so we have big blooms. And the problem is it washes up on the beaches and begins to rot and creates a bit of a problem in terms of smell, and just aesthetically it's not very nice. So at the moment the council just uses a tractor and trailer to pick it up, and so I'm looking at ways of catching that sea lettuce before it even got to the beach, so using a barge or some kind of vessel. Well, it's kind of funny because the program's ended but my project hasn't, so I'll probably carry on for a little bit longer because this guy's fully rebuilding the barge. So he found this barge tied to a pylon over in Sydney, and it was used during the Sydney Olympics to collect garbage and plastic and stuff out of the Sydney harbour during the Olympics. And so he's imported it back to New Zealand, fully rebuilding it. And then he doesn't really have a plan for it, but I feel like it would work well in collecting sea lettuce. I wish that I knew the water temperature was going to heat up so much that all the sea lettuce was going to disappear now. So at the start of summer we had like so much sea lettuce in the harbour to do pretty much whatever we wanted with it, and now we're struggling to even find samples to send away to the lab. And that's purely up to the water temperature just getting so high, and it's just all broken down and disappeared. What it's taught us as well throughout this project is that we can't make a viable business harvesting wild sea lettuce, so we can just marry that up with aquaculture and raceway systems to make a viable business out of it.
So how is this different from other research programs and scholarships?
What's very different, and the students last year and this year commented about this, and I found it almost a bit scary but then also liberating. It doesn't require a strict rigor of scientific framework.
It's just all you doing most of the thinking, unless, obviously for me I needed help, so I consulted with experts in their field. But ultimately, even if I did consult with them, the decision at the end was still entirely mine to make.
Well, one of the main things that helped me out is that I felt safe enough to make mistakes. Because a lot of environments you're like, you have to be perfect, but here you can make mistakes and it's okay, you can learn from it.
I have a lot more freedom. It was more like, we want you to look at this. Off you go, see how you can figure all this out using what you've learned.
I guess the whole project just taught me about collaborating ideas. Like if you think you've got a really great idea that you can turn into a business, I always thought you'd just keep that to yourself because that's your money maker, whereas if you collaborate ideas you can actually create a much broader business, I guess.
What's the future of the SMILE program?
Well, where I wanted to see this going is to look sometimes in environmental monitoring and remediation. You're not looking at the commercial potential for doing something much cleaner, much better, because you're trying to restrict human activity to create more damage. In the industry, sometimes you just follow your old business model, so you're not trying to explore too broadly across. But I want to create a sweet spot where we're saying we have new business models. Once this spawns out of our project, we have new things to do, let's say more with sustainable food, sustainable water, sustainable energy. And I really wanted to look at those things for the future.
So thanks, Rolf. That was really great.
Yeah.
Those are certainly projects that put a smile on my dial. It's going to be fascinating seeing what comes out of next year's project. See you guys next time.